Hey everyone, it's Miss Malia, Food Corps Service Member at CAS. Welcome to Garden Class. Today is the second video in a series about microgreens. I'm going to show you how I've been keeping track of the progress of the greens I planted last week, and then I'll show you some more seeds you can use to plant microgreens, some that can even be found right in your kitchen. Then I will show you another way to plant microgreens that is different from last time and relies on greenhouse technology. If you started last week, how are your microgreens from last week going? What's the germination rate of your seeds? Germination means when a seed sprouts. So how many of your seeds that you started have sprouted? Miss Malia here. I am going to check on my microgreens that I planted last Tuesday. It is now Friday. So it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's been about 3 days since I planted these. And let's take a peek. All right, Exhibit A. These ones I planted in this container and I did not put a cover on them. And I've had to spray them with this spray bottle. I've had to come through and do this at least, I don't know, 4 times a day or so, because the top keeps getting dry, but you can see there's some little sprouts starting to come up, so that's pretty cool. All right, friends, do you notice any difference between this one, which has not had a cover on it, and this one, which has had a cover on it? Give you some different angles here. What differences do you see between these two? On day 4, the leaves that were yellow the day before have turned green since I took the cover off of them and they've been exposed to the sunlight. On day 6, I don't know, I'm interested to see if any more of the seeds will sprout, but it looks like a lot of the seeds just are deciding not to sprout, so I don't know if it's something in the way that I planted them, or something about the way that I've been watering them, or if it's just the seeds. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but I'm excited today because I'm going to try again and see if I can get a higher germination rate this time. So to recap, microgreens are seeds that grow very close together and are harvested when they are at the seedling stage. They can be used as salad greens, or you can saute them. They're really tasty and they have a really high content of vitamins considering how small they are. They're really packed with nutrients. There are lots of seeds you can use for microgreens. You were sent home with one seed packet, but maybe you want to keep going beyond that. Here's a list of more seeds you can use for microgreens: amaranth, basil, beets, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cilantro, flax seeds, kale, lettuce, lentils, nasturtiums, popcorn, peas, quinoa, radish, rutabaga, sunflower seeds. There are so many different seeds you can use. In the description of the video, there's a link to a website that will tell you how to plant 100 different types of microgreens. For your safety, I need to remind you that not all seeds can be used for microgreens. Some plant leaves are not okay to eat. For example, peppers, potatoes, and tomatoes are yummy, but their leaves and stems contain toxins that could make you sick if you ate them. So please be careful to make sure the stems and leaves of the seeds you are using are actually edible. So today I'm going to show you how to grow microgreens with a few seeds you might already have in your kitchen. And just to remind you again, I am learning right alongside with all of you guys. So I'm not really a microgreen expert. I just did some research and I am trying out all of these different seeds for the very first time. So I'm really excited to ask you all to try some different microgreen seeds and methods and let me know how it goes, because I think we can all learn together on this one. So, lentils. Lentils are a legume and they have a ton of vitamins. They're full of fiber and protein, and you can get them canned or dried, but you might have these in your pantry. I soaked them for about 8 hours before planting, and soaking them is going to help them to germinate, to sprout faster. With lentils, you want to soak for 8 to 12 hours, and for planting, you want to cover them with something to keep the sun out for the first 2 days after planting. So this could be a black plastic cover or something like that over it, or you want to cover with 1/8 inch of soil, and they'll be ready to harvest in 7 to 10 days. This is some quinoa that I had in my pantry. It has a lot of protein. I think I soaked these for about an hour. You want to soak the quinoa seeds for 30 minutes to 1 hour. Make sure to rinse and change the water at least once. For planting, you want to cover them with a dark cover for at least 2 days, or you can cover them with 1/8 inch of soil. They'll be ready to harvest in 7 to 12 days. Popcorn. Here's a fun one that you probably have in your kitchen or pantry. I soaked the popcorn seeds for about 8 hours. You can soak them for 8 to 12 hours. For planting, you want to cover them with something that will keep the sun out for 6 to 8 days until you're ready to harvest. The popcorn plant is a grass, and if you let the sunlight get to your little seedlings, they'll turn green and possibly taste a little grassy. So make sure to keep them covered for 6 to 8 days until you're ready to cut them and eat them. And peas. I'm just using this pack of peas. They're called Laxton's Progress No. 9, and I have soaked them for 8 hours. For planting, you want to cover them with something to keep the sun out for the first 3 days after planting, or you could cover them with 1/8 of an inch of soil. So remember the greenhouse at school. Was the greenhouse warmer or colder than the outside air? Was the air inside the greenhouse warmer or colder than the outside air? It was warmer. And I'll give you an example. So when Miss Ridgway's class checked the temperature on March 11th, the temperature inside the greenhouse was 81 degrees at, I think it was about 2 o'clock. And the outside temperature was 41 degrees. So I'm kind of wondering what will happen if I create a mini greenhouse for my microgreens. This week I'm going to try to make a little mini greenhouse for my microgreens to keep moisture in and to also keep the heat in from the sun rays. So I'm just using an old salad container. You want to make sure there is some space for air to get in so you don't grow mold or anything. So for mine, I think I'm going to probably prop it up. Now I do want to keep the light out for just the first couple days while the seeds are germinating. After that, it'll be really important for the plants to get light, but for that first couple days, they're going to want the nice, safe darkness to germinate in. Let's try this. Okay, that is good. Take some potting soil and put it into whatever container you're going to be using. And then I want to pre-moisten the soil. I'm going to take just a little bit of water and I'm going to mix it around. And what I'm looking for is soil that is damp, but if I were to pick it up and squeeze it, I wouldn't want water to be coming out of it and dripping out of it. I used to work at a flower farm, and an old boss of mine and friend of mine told me that trick, and I've never forgot it. Alright, I've been mixing and adding more water and adjusting and testing for about 3 minutes, And now I'm going to do a final test, and I'll show you. So when I give it a gentle squeeze, there's no water that comes out, but it feels damp. So I know that this is a perfect hydration level for my potting soil. If you're going to be covering your seeds with soil, now is a good time to just take out a little bit of the potting soil. It is very funny to plant seeds that have been soaking in water because as I sprinkle them, they're just kind of clumping together. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do here exactly, but I think I'm just going to keep putting them in and then maybe just trying to spread them out a little bit and maybe mix them up a little bit as I put them in. I poured the water off of the peas and put them on a plate, and now I will put them into my middle section. And finally I'll add the lentils, which I have also drained. Okay, and now I think I'm going to cover with just a tiny bit of soil, not even so much that you can't see the seeds underneath, but just a sprinkling. Now the labels I've made, they will double as plant markers, and also they're going to keep the roof of my greenhouse open. Now it's time to water my seeds. I've just spent about 45 seconds or so making sure this whole thing is nice and watered. And now what I'm going to do is put the lid back on my greenhouse. Take this darkening cover that's going to just go on for the first 3 days while the seeds germinate. I'm going to put it to bed.
Now you might be wondering why I haven't planted the corn yet. And the answer is, I want the corn to stay covered the whole time. So here's the corn that I planted. I decided to cover half of it with soil and half of the seeds without soil. So I'm doing a little experiment here, and I'm covering them for the whole time they're going to grow.
Now, can you guess what time it is? It's cleanup time. All right, guys, have a blast planting your microgreens, and I really hope to hear from you about how it worked for you, what worked, what didn't. We're all learning together, so definitely respond to the Flipgrid and share how the process is going for you. Or if you are not able to plant at home, respond to the Flipgrid and tell me, what do you think of the way I planted them? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think it's not going to work? How high do you think these are going to be next time we all get together? So, all right, everyone, have a awesome week, and I'll see you next time. And I hope to hear from you with the Flipgrid video. Okay, bye.